All right, guys, welcome back into another NBA DFS video. Going to be touching on the top picks for this Monday NBA DFS slate. As always, going to start off with the injuries, get into the top values, show you guys the projected ownership, as well as the lineup process. If you enjoy this coverage, make sure to give a like and subscribe. If you guys want access to any of the tools that you see in this video, make sure to click the links in the description below. All right, let's get into it. So looking at the injuries, there are a decent amount of significant injuries. So let's start out with the two obvious ones, Zion and Brandon Ingram being out. And that has really led to this game being a close game. So the Wizards have been the team that has gone blown out a bunch or blown out teams a bunch. They have not had a close game in a while. Finally, Vegas is saying, all right, it's a 1-point game. Okay. So this is probably going to be a spot in which we do want to attack it. So with those two players off the court, obviously someone like McCollum is a pretty good play. Should be a safe play as well. We should be locking in around 40 DK points, which is what he averages. I mean, he averages over 40 fantasy points per 36 with those two off the court, has a very high usage rate. And we can see that just by the shot attempts in the past two games with those two players off the court, over 28 real life points in those games. So, and those weren't even like insanely good shooting nights. I mean, they were just average shooting nights. Okay, so that's encouraging to me. If he has like a really big night or a really hot night shooting the basketball, could really go off. And even if he doesn't have a good night shooting the basketball, should still be a solid play. So I do think he is kind of someone that's going to be a starting point. Marshall is someone, we can think about playing. I don't think he's going to be anything like close to being a lock, but also someone that has the potential to really go out and kind of break a slate. J-Val, J-Val has that upside. He has the upside to get 10 rebounds and a ton of points. Okay. He's someone that I do think we need to kind of chase a little bit, just for GPP upside, especially given the fact that this game is projected to stay close. So you could easily play him. And like, there's a little bit of a game stack here as well, because, well, Bradley Beal is going to be out in this game as well. With that, Porzingis is going to be priced up a little bit too much, as is Kyle Kuzma. But if we are trying to game stack a game, we don't really care all too much if a player is priced up a little bit too much. Obviously, if we're game stacking a game, we want that game to stay close. We want, and especially today, guys, there are like 3 games that are projected to be blowouts: 8 points, 11 points, 10 points. I'll just pull that up here real quick as well. Like this is a slate that we probably want to stay away from, because it's most likely not going to be pretty. These games have chances to be blowouts. Okay. And that worries me. So by being able to attack a game like this, and sure, the over and under isn't massive, but it could stay close, and you're kind of taking the risk of a game potentially blowing out by stacking this game. So right off the bat, just looking at the injuries, we can see the Washington and Pelicans game is going to be one that we should be thinking about playing. With that, continuing on, our RJ Barrett is a game time decision. Okay. And actually, if he plays or sits, that does kind of change the slate a little bit, because RJ Barrett has been someone that, hasn't played in a while, and he is currently doubtful. We never know for sure. But if he were to play, that would mean Randall and Brunson are like no longer good plays. Right now, they have just kind of been going off. I will say both of them, both Randall and Brunson, have struggled against the Bucks. Okay. I don't know if we want to target them, even with, RJ Barrett. If RJ Barrett's active, then yeah, they kind of are two players that I don't think we would be playing. From there, Chris Middleton's still out. Vassell still out. Nothing changed there. Anthony Davis still out as well. From there, not too much significant injury news. So let's go ahead and get into the value report. All right, so looking at it, guys, FanDuel value, we'll start with that as always. So FanDuel wise, okay, Al Horford is looking like he could be a good value, which is a little bit shocking to me. Let's see his minutes, 28 minutes, I can tell you now he's going to pop up DraftKings wise as well. I don't know. That's interesting to me. I don't particularly like that game. Interesting though. MPJ popping up there, much cheaper on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. It's always a good sign. White, Bane popping up there, especially if Ja Morant sits. Obviously, you would go Bane, you would go Dylan Brooks. So that's something we need to wait on injury news for as well. Ja Morant sat out yesterday, and so I kind of expect him back today, just, back to back. You never know for sure. But obviously, if he sits, then yeah, these two players become two great plays. And just what we're talking about, Memphis, Steven Adams sat out last game, which made kind of Jaren Jackson Jr. a lock, just a very strong play, someone you can't pass up on. And if that happens again, then yes, I think we would load up on Jaren Jackson. And just looking at Ja Morant, like he is, I would say based off of the odds here, they believe Ja's going to play, minus 11. Okay. But at the same time, they are favored to win by so much. So maybe they just sit out Ja and Adams another game and say, hey, we can beat the Spurs without our 2 starters. That could happen as well. That is just something that make sure to be in the Discord chat so that we can get that information, so that we can confirm that information. Link to that's in the description below. So from there, let's check out the DraftKings value that's out there. Al Horford popping up there, Grant Williams popping up there. I don't really love it. Although Grant Williams, that is a cheap price tag. Okay, that is a very cheap price tag. I could see kind of shrugging your shoulders and ending up on him, especially if you need a small forward or power forward. Like, I'm fine with that. That does make some sense. Gafford popping up there for Washington. That is a very cheap price tag for a guy that's probably going to get 25 points for a game in which I do think we want to be stacking. Jaren Jackson, yes, he's popping up. He's going to be a player that I think both on FanDuel and DraftKings you can play him. He's going to be much more appealing on DraftKings, obviously, given that price tag. One player that I didn't touch on being out is going to be Marcus Smart, which is going to elevate Derek White and also Malcolm Brogdon. I think Malcolm Brogdon is just going to be a very strong price point play. Going to be a very safe play, but Derek White, he's priced up a little bit more than I would like. Brogdon has the upside to go for 35 DK points, whereas White, we're chasing like 25, 30. I just think the ceiling's a little bit higher for Brogdon, and the price point's very similar, so I'd rather just go Brogdon. So now let's go ahead and get into the projected ownerships. All right, so looking at it right now, just on the DraftKings main slate, we'll go to FanDuel after this. A lot of people are starting their builds out with Jokic, which I find kind of crazy. I think Giannis going against the Knicks is kind of a smash spot. You look 2 straight games against them, went for 66 DK points. It seems like he's always dominating against them. And what I find very interesting here is that both the games are games that are at risk of being a blowout. And so I know the over and under for the Bucks Knicks game is very low, but Giannis has dominated against them. So I would rather go Giannis. I would think there. That's surprising to me that there's that big of a difference. I know Jokic gets a great matchup, and that's probably it. But that's surprising to me. That could be a nice leverage spot. So let's just sort by total projected ownership. Brogdon is popping up there. So yeah, that makes sense. Brogdon is a very strong price point play. I feel like he's a little bit too cheap. Quickly, I think we could still play Quickly, I guess. He is someone that even if that game does blow out, he could still get the minutes. Pirtle, a decent GPP play. That game is at risk of being a blowout though as well. So Gafford popping up there. Grant Williams, people like the value there. Valanciunas, people like that as well. And that's what's interesting. Like, obviously you only get to play one. Well, you can play 2 centers, I guess, on DraftKings, but J Val's at a cheap price tag. Continuing on, nothing too shocking just yet. Obviously, Memphis players, if both Morant or if Adams or both of them are out, their ownerships are definitely going to spike up tonight. And just like thought process wise, with the NFL being over today, guys, there's going to be a lot more people transitioning into NBA DFS today. Okay. Which should mean we could get a pretty good edge here. Okay. And yes, there's going to be some people that get beginner's luck a little bit today, but at the same time, there should be an edge there. If we are making the right lineup decisions before lineup lock, there should be a bigger edge there today because a lot of people are going to be transitioning from NFL DFS to NBA DFS. And that should create a nice little buffer, a nice little edge for us, at least for this first week, while people try to get acclimated to kind of what's going on. So looking at the FanDuel projected ownership, Trey Jones popping up there, not a bad play, decent price point. I don't mind that. Quickly, Porter, Brogdon, going to be a good play across the board. Carter popping up there, I don't disagree with that. We had to see if Bobo is still out. The COVID illness. He should almost be clear. I think it's been a week now. So just got to confirm that before you play Carter. Kyle Kuzma popping up there. Cheap price tag for Kyle Kuzma on FanDuel. Probably should almost be one of the higher owned players on FanDuel because he has the upside to go for 40 plus. And then from there, pretty decent. Yeah. And then once again with Giannis, like the price point's a little bit lower on here. This could be a nice little leverage spot as well on FanDuel. So just come back to this page before lineup lock just to see where the ownership's at. I think that could be a great leverage spot. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the lineup process. So obviously a lot of this is going to boil down to what? Injuries and really that Memphis game. What's going to happen? If Morant were to sit, we'd be looking at Bane. We'd be looking at Tyus Jones. And then also, if Adams were to sit, we'd be looking at Jaren Jackson Jr. And then Tillman was someone that was popping up as a pretty good value play. He would still be a very good play. I shouldn't say very good play. He'd still be a good play if someone like Brandon Clark sits as well. So that's all stuff that we need to confirm before lineup lock. Right now, I'm going to prep for Morant to play. With this process here. So for me, CJ McCollum, great starting point. And then we're going Malcolm Brogdon, just one of the better values on today's slate. going to be tough not to like him. And then I do think we need to play Al Horford. You know, the data was saying play Al Horford, so I'm just going to agree with it. You know, a lot of the times my biggest mistakes in DFS are just not trusting the data when you should. So we'll play that for now. If that changes, we can adjust it throughout the day. So going back into the model just to see who else is popping up, Grant Williams and Gafford. We probably want to play Jaren Jackson Jr. as well. So let's go ahead and put them in there. So the thing with Jaren Jackson Jr. is he can hold value by himself, and that's kind of the appeal. Becomes a much better play if someone like Horford sits. Not Horford, if someone like Adams sits and Brandon Clark, you know, that just helps him out as a play. So from there, we got a decent amount of salary left over to play our small forwards and guards. Let's put Grant Williams in there and see who that leaves us with. 9K, you know, Jaylen Brown, Porzingis, I think they're both fine plays. I'll go Porzingis just kind of for game stacking purposes. Want to be able to run it back with another Washington player. Oh, I can't. That's a guard. So I would have to play Brown. And that's probably a little bit too much Boston. I'd probably want to adjust that. I don't know how we could do that. Like, I don't mind Porzingis as a play. I like Kuzma as a play. And so that's kind of the problem, I guess, on this slate. Unless Josh sits, we don't have that many great pay up plays guard-wise. Fox is fine. And then it's just kind of a dead pricing zone there, you know? So then we'd have to dip down into the value. Trey Jones, McCollum, obviously I like. Brogdon we like. But other than that, probably be just going with someone like White, you know, kind of shrugging our shoulders. So if Morant sits, that's going to open up a lot. Okay. But that's all for this video. You guys just saw my cat there. I don't know if you guys could hear my cat meowing in the video. If it was, I apologize. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give a like and subscribe. That helps us continue to be able to pump out more content for you guys. If you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, make sure to click the links in the description below. All right, let's have a good slate. Be in the Discord chat before lock because it is going to be huge. Okay, link to that is in the description below as well. All right, thanks for watching. Let's have a good slate. And as always, good luck.